Hello everybody, welcome back to This Not That. This is a blog where we talk about best practices and common mistakes that we see in sort of the data BI realm. I'm excited to be doing an interview today. We're going to talk about measures of central tendency, and so I'm excited to hear what Spencer has to say about that. Welcome back, everybody. As I said today, I am fortunate enough to have my friend and coworker Spencer joining us on TNT to talk about some of the ways we think about measures of centrality. So, Spencer, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Hobbs. I'm Spencer Cook. I'm a data scientist here at Valorem Reply. I am really interested in the intersection of statistics and computer science. Lately, I've also been pursuing Internet of Things, AI, and specifically the democratization of AI and ML.
Okay. So I invited Spencer on to talk about sort of a best practice from his perspective in his corner of the data world and the mistakes that he thinks that it accommodates for. So Spencer, what are your thoughts on this?
So I want to sort of peel back the layers of a pretty common topic, which is the mean or average. So in almost every dashboard I see, there's some form of average being measured or communicated to the user. And I feel like we could do better. So if you think back to your elementary school math classes, there's two other measures of central tendency that they teach you that often get forgotten. And so those are the median and the mode. And so the mean is obviously really great for communicating trends within a data set, but it has a couple of shortcomings. So a big one is that it has a tendency to absorb outliers. And so if you have a bunch of data that's in agreement and then you have a highly skewed point of data on one end, the mean is going to move towards that outlier, and oftentimes that can skew what's actually happening within the data set. The other issue it has is it doesn't always represent an actual element within the data set. So let's say that you have a very simple data set with the number 1 and the number 3. Well, your mean is going to come out to be 2, which isn't actually present. So if you sell a product that is $1 and another that's $3, your average sales are 2, which doesn't tell you your most popular product, right? So the median, instead of being a calculation on top of the data set, is actually just a measure of the centermost point within the ordered set of data. So if you have products that are $1, $3, and $5, and your median is 3 or your median is 5, that tells you something meaningful about where your data is split. So similarly, the mode is just telling you which is the most frequent element within your data set, and that is also going to be an element that's present. So oftentimes those two things, in addition to the mean, can tell you more about what's going on within the data set than just the mean on its own.
So I do a lot of the visual side of things. Help me think about this in a visual way. So if I'm trying to, in my head, I'm picturing some data of some kind, a distribution of data. Can you help me visually picture what the difference is between these different measures?
Yeah, so let's say that we have a data set that has 3 bell shapes. And so on the left, you have a smaller bell, in the middle, you have a medium bell, and on the right, you have, let's say, another small bell, right? So the average is sort of going to take all of those, smash them together, and find the average bell size and communicate that back, right? Whereas the median is going to find a balance point within that data set that splits it evenly. So if most of your data is in that central bell, you're not getting skewed by the 2 on either edge.
Okay.
Similarly, for mode, let's imagine that we have one big bell that compromises most of the data, and then on the right, we have a very narrow bell with a high peak. So that's the most popular item, but it doesn't really happen all that frequently compared to the overall scale of the data. Well, we're not going to lose that information when we calculate the central tendency. It will still be present while also not affecting the rest of the data. So in that case, having both the mean and the mode tells you more about what's actually going on with your data.
Okay. When you think about presenting these to end users, are you imagining that you would display all three, or just median, or just mode, or when would you want more than one available to someone?
So the mode is very helpful whenever you're looking at, let's say, like a day or a month in time, and you're interested in trends. What's the most popular basket for your product, that kind of thing. The median can often be misleading on its own because it's so similar to the mean. So what I like to do is actually create a KPI that is the mean minus the median, and that tells you the direction of the skew in your data set. So you could make that be sort of a two-dimensional KPI where you have the sign, the plus or minus, and that could be, say, red or green. And then the intensity of the skew sort of dictates, how much opacity, let's say, that KPI has. And so that lets you know at a glance, we're trending in this specific direction where, say, we're skewing towards higher sales or lower sales, and you can react accordingly.
I like that, because then you are stating sort of what the center is, but then also which direction do the outliers tend to lie in. And you can sort of base your business decisions around those tendencies.
Yep, exactly. And instead of, getting frustrated with your salespeople because, the data isn't in the direction you want it, you can actually measure trends in the direction you want it to be in.
Yeah.
So the outliers, are properly accounted for.
Well, thank you so much, Spencer.
Yeah, thank you.
To everyone out there in the audience, this is TNT. And we got to talk today some about measures of central tendency and how to think about what each of those numbers represents about some sort of a mathematical truth in your data, and then how to compare and contrast them, even talking about sort of changes in those tendencies, those relationships over time. If you enjoyed this, we would love to have you follow us on social media or leave comments below about things that you'd like us to talk about, topics that are of interest to you. Additionally, if you're working on a data project and you'd like to get together with us and talk about what we could do as a company for you, we would be very interested in that. We can come in as consultants and do advising, or we can help you out with projects that are having some difficulties. That's the sort of thing that we love to help with. Hope you have a good week, and we will see you next time.